I've been doing some more mods on the H-bow to try and get a bit more distance. That's my best flight arrow. So I made an improved one with smaller fletchings, same length, 20 grains lighter, and it didn't fly as well. But that's the nature of flight arrows, you can't always predict what's going to be best. Maybe it's too light, because the lighter you go, the faster it will leave the bow. But of course it's carrying less momentum or kinetic energy with it. So it's that trade-off. You want to go as light as you can, but not to the point where you stop going further. Some people think you can go too light and you're going to damage the bow, but it's virtually impossible, because, well, you can see how small the points are on these flight arrows. They're tiny, so most of the weight's the shaft. And if you work out the acceleration from a sort of flight bow, it's about 300 times g, you know, the acceleration due to gravity. So it's a huge acceleration. So the arrow, effectively, the resistance of it is 300 times what it weighs. So you don't have to worry about being too light. Anyway, the other thing I did is I heat treated the belly of the bow, extended the slots a little bit further, moved the whipping up a little bit, so hopefully that will give me a bit more distance. Just noticed a thick bit there. I might just take that off a whisker. Just put a little mark there. You never stop finding bits with a bow. Anyway, it's also taken out some of the set. It had taken a tiny bit of set, but all bows do that. So hopefully, I mean, that heat treating typically gains you about 10 pounds of weight, draw weight. So that should certainly give me a bit more distance. Hopefully I'll get past the 300 yards. The other thing I'm going to do is add another brush rest there, just to give me a little bit more safety. So if I overdraw, just give me a little bit more margin for error. There's also a little bit of a line here. I'm wondering if the arrows are brushing there, so I might just grind off the top of this platform. And it is actually curved anyway, but it's sort of checking your knocking point, all that sort of stuff. You don't want anything hitting anything else. The other thing I added was this indicator point, which marries up to, here we are, it marries up to this plumb bob. So that was worked out so it indicates when I'm at 45 degrees for maximum distance. And the other technical innovation I added, especially for April the 1st, was this radar system, which obviously isn't really a radar system. It's an old mobile phone with a little tin plate, square section, microwave emitter added to it just for the fun of it. So anyone who saw that and was worried that it might have been genuine, no, it was a little April Fool's spoof. I don't often do things like that, but it just struck me as a nice thing to do. You see all these Olympic recurves with all these bells and whistles and fancy bloody nonsense glued onto them and stabilisers. I thought I'd go one better and fit a radar onto my flight bow. Anyway, so I'll get that brush rest added, and perhaps on Sunday it'll get another outing. But that's the update so far. I've not exceeded 286 yards. The other thing I found is that my laser rangefinder reads about 4 yards shorter than the ones belonging to two of the guys at the club. But there again, 4 yards in 286, it's only about 1.5%, so that's probably well within the spec of the laser rangefinder. Yes, I should note the brush rest I've made from one of these, which is something that comes with sort of hair dye. Obviously, hair dye is of no use to me whatsoever, seeing as how I'm bald as a coot. But there you go, never throw away anything, you don't know what it will be useful for. Yeah, it's got the other brush rest done. It just sits in the groove and it can be moved back and forth or raised or lowered slightly, and always tacked in place if necessary. You can see I've relieved some of that deck as well. I'll give that a lick of paint. It's good to have a nice clean surface on it, so if the arrows are touching it will show up.